Hey guys, I'm back in the car for this video. It's not gonna be as controversial as the last car video, I promise. It's gonna be talking about the Wolfpack Ninja Tour as someone who competed in it like over 5 years ago now. It was the end of April 2017 into May. It was really cool. I made it to the finals, so I can I can tell how each part went. Once we got to the finals, it was a bit harder, but you know, I made it to the finals, which was cool. I'm filming in the car just because my desk is kind of a better scene, I feel like, and I don't have to hold the camera, but it's too loud for my roommates, especially during this week I'm at, which is finals week. So I don't want to disturb them. And here I can talk as loud as I want without feeling self-conscious. So that's good. But anyway, I'm gonna go over the tour. This isn't gonna be like you know, like I'm gonna actually give my opinions. I'm not gonna say everything's great like most videos on stuff like this will. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I have no problem saying that how it went. But that's mainly a good thing for this, because I'm gonna say this is a really good event. So the fact that I'm being honest speaks a lot to how good it was. And this event was like the first of its kind, the Wolfpack Ninja Tour. So yeah, it was really cool. I got it as like a big Christmas present. That was like my Christmas present of 2016. Yeah, it was a really great present, and I feel like it was like a thing that probably can only happen once. Like, I feel like even if I went again, it wouldn't probably be the same. I'll get into the whole trip. I'm just gonna go day by day. But yeah. So, I'm also gonna try and include some pictures on this, cause I think that'll be cool. I'll see if I can, and also if I can talk over the pictures, cause I'd rather have my voice going instead of like pausing for the pictures. But I'll see what I can do once I film this. But okay, let's get into the trip. So as I said, I took this trip with just me and my dad. I think I said that. I filmed this a couple times, so I'm not sure if I said that already. But no, it was a really cool trip. So in the morning, we flew from Florida to Denver, Colorado, which is where the event was held, in this arena in Denver, Colorado. So once we landed, we went to this place called Red Rock, which is really cool. It's like, I mean, you can look up and see a bunch of cool pictures, but it's a bunch of these giant red rocks. It's a good name for the place. And there's a bunch of rocks balanced on top of each other. It's like it's a really cool thing to see. Probably at the time I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have, because I was so focused on getting to Ninja and just excited about the competition and nervous. But, it was a really cool sight. I'd like to go back to that in and of itself one day. It was a cool thing to see. And I did some like rock climbing on certain structures, and the rocks were probably shorter than I was, but you know, it felt cool at the time. It probably would feel cool again. It was a really cool thing. But yeah, and there's some long trails to walk on, very pretty sights, very different from Florida, as you can imagine. So that was cool. And they have these, what's it called? Like an amphitheater, I think. I hope I'm not crazy with that, but I think that's what it's called. And it's a bunch of steps, like this very long series of steps leading down to the stage. And it kind of echoes off the rocks and stuff, because it's in the middle of the rocks. And those are the stairs, I believe, that, from Rocky, I think. Is that? No, I think I'm thinking of another trip I went on. No, yeah, 'cause he was running on the street. Never mind. But it was cool stairs nonetheless. Okay. Anyway. So then we went to the hotel, I believe. I'm not gonna like say everything I did on this trip, don't worry, but I'm just gonna say everything that pertained to Ninja and the event. Although I mentioned this Red Rocks just because it was cool, and another positive of going to Denver, because I know the one coming up is in Loveland, Colorado, I think, so nearby. And it's funny that it's in Loveland, because I used to live in a town called Loveland in another state, so that's part of the reason. I was like, this is a sign that I should create a thing on this. And these Wolfpack Ninja Tour videos tend to do well for me, like relative to my other videos. So maybe this one will get some views, as people are interested whether they should go to the tour or not. And again, if you're wondering, just should I go to a tour, I would say yes. If you have the money and the time, it's a really good thing to do. I would do it again if I could, but I'm probably not going to. But, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to comment. You don't have to watch through this whole rant. If you don't want, you can just post a question. I'll be happy to answer it. not rant. The rant was last video. I'm not gonna rant again, I promise. I think. But no, so we went to the hotel. It was a pretty nice hotel. It's one of those ones where you look up, and I think it's one of those ones where you look up and it's like an open ceiling leading to different balconies from different floors. So it's like a relatively nice, like, hotel that everyone stayed at. That's why I'm mentioning it. The first night they were gonna have like a pool party, I remember, but it was like 30 degrees and snowing, I think. It was definitely snowing. I don't know the temperature, but yeah. So that was canceled, and instead they just had a meeting in like this conference room where you can meet and greet all the ninjas. I got some good pictures there with like every ninja. Also at the event, I got some pictures, but it was a really cool thing to just meet all ninjas. They were all very nice at the time. And yeah, my mom made like a collage of me next to all ninjas, which is kind of cool. She posted on the Instagram. But yeah, that was a cool thing. I mean, I met a lot of really cool people. Like who the heck? Who did I have good conversations with? I'm trying to think of the best conversations. I think Evan Dollard. We talked to him about like, cause he's been on different shows like the sparring race and stuff. So we talked about him on that, and he said he didn't get the job the next year. So we talked to him. I'm trying to think of the ones that like kind of went above and beyond on like information. I talked a lot with Drew, the real life prisoner. But you know, for what it was he talked about Sasuke and stuff, you know. You know, it was a good event overall. Like for what it was, like there was not good conditions with the weather, obviously. I don't know why they planned a pool party. That was kind of a weird idea, because they had, I mean, I know it was May, or late April, but they had to have known that it was possible. But, you know, they made the best of it. I'm glad they had a plan B with the conference room meetup, and there were some cool people there. Yeah, so that was a nice little thing. And then we went to I'm forgetting other ninjas. There was like probably 15 ninjas there, and I talked to most of them. Most of them I didn't talk to too long because I didn't want to hold them up, you know, because there's a bunch of kids there and other people who wanted to talk to them. So I didn't, you know, I tried to be quick with it, but a couple of them kind of went into greater detail, especially Evan Dollard, I remember, as I mentioned. Then there's a few ninjas who couldn't make it in time. They were like stuck on the flight till the next day, so they weren't at this meet and greet. Like, I feel like Jesse Graff wasn't there, if I'm correct. But then later that evening, we went to the course itself, which was inside like an arena. It was really cool. I think this night there's a lot of waiting around, like 2 hours of just waiting there, because it was kind of disorganized at this point, I will say. And I don't blame them. This is like the first event of its kind, so they still did a pretty good job, all things considered. But you saw the course in the middle and all the stands around it. And it was a 7 obstacle course with about 20 standalone obstacles on the side to train on. You can there's a lot of videos on this outside of my channel, but there's also one on my channel called Wolfpack Ninja Tour Obstacles that shows all of the standalone obstacles. They had the ring toss, the doorknob grasper, the salmon ladder, which was kind of I'm trying to think of. It was kind of like a I don't want to say the word I'm thinking of. It was kind of a like skeletal version, I guess, not anything else. But yeah, that was kind of dangerous, I think. But I'll get into kind of the dangers. Then there was like the vertical limit, which looked impossible to me. The flowing boards, which also looked hard. There's a lot of obstacles that were like original concepts, so I can't say the names, but they were really cool. They're also on the obstacles video. So yeah, it was really cool. Like, even when you weren't running the course, you could basically spend all your time training on the obstacles and also seeing ninjas next to them. So that was a really cool setup. Like, they made good use of the space so that even when you weren't running, you'd still get to have a lot of fun at the time. Alright, it's been almost 10 minutes. I'm gonna take a drink. Okay. But yeah, it was really well done in that sense. I remember reading like that there was gotta be some like you'd have to complete certain standalone obstacles to make it to the course, and I remember there being talk about there being outside obstacles too, which never materialized. I think maybe because of the weather and just because their plan was pretty complex, and I think they had to cut a couple of ideas. But, you know, that was, I mean, I think it's good that everyone got to run the course regardless of completing the individual obstacles. Because honestly, the course was a lot easier than the standalone ones. Like, the course was a speed course. It wasn't like a hard thing to do. As you can see in my video, I completed it a couple of times. Then I got kind of risky and I lost because I went for speed. But yeah, it was, so yeah, I think it's good that everyone got to run the course. Yeah, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. This was day one. But yeah, after that event, we kind of got to meet more ninjas at the arena that night. And then we pretty much went back to the hotel. I was like very excited since I'd seen the course, and yeah, it was a really good day though. It's kind of like I went to, what was it called? Was it Pinnacle Parkour? I know that's a gym. It was a Denver training gym that if you look it up on my channel, you'll see it. But it was a gym I went to that was pretty good. Like a parkour place. We went there later in the night. I was probably pretty sleep deprived at that point, but it was a cool place. What else? Well, that was it for day one. Day two was the start of the ninja stuff, like the event itself. So we got there around 11, I feel like. It was snowing outside this day, but I told my dad, like, I can't be wearing these snow pants, because once I get inside, it's going to be hot, you know? So just get through the cold and, you know, just walk there for 10 minutes in shorts and whatever. You know, I hate exercising in, like, long clothes, so I was glad to be wearing just the t-shirt and shorts, which I wore, like, 3 days straight, because I forgot to bring anything else, but that's the only thing. Other than that, I was happy with what I was wearing, because you gotta compete comfortable. But and I remember they gave you like this lanyard when you got there, and I think I kept it on for way too long. I don't think it was like necessary to have, but I wore it through like most of the first day, I feel like. So that was probably stupid of me in terms of like, it wasn't comfortable, but I thought I should keep it on in case they kicked me out, but I don't think that would have happened in hindsight. But yeah, so the first day I practiced a little bit on the side obstacles, and then when they announced that they were opening up the main course, which as I said, like the main course was in the center of the arena, and then there was the standalone obstacles around it, and then the bleachers around those. So yeah, I was anxious about the course, and I just wanted to try it and you know, get the nerves off. So I was like they had a couple of adults run before me. They had one of the Wolfpack people do a trial run, and then they had a couple of like adults that were competing run. And then I was probably the third or fourth person to run the course. Like I was pretty early on, and I was so early that I actually got commentary from Noah Kaufman on my first run, which was cool. That didn't last for too long just because you had to be different places, but you can hear it over my first clip, which I completed the course in pretty slow time. Like you know, at the time I didn't realize like it was gonna be a speed course. I mean, I should have, because it was pretty easy to do, but it was, you know, the majority of people, or at least half of them, would complete the course, and then it would come down to like the top 8 times would move on. Each person, by the way, got 3 runs, or that was how it was intended. So I used my first run. I completed the course, but I went really slow. I'm trying to think. The first obstacle was like this ramp that you run up, and there was a post in the middle that you had to climb around. So I climbed around that, but it took a while. Then there was this slack line with ropes that I went across slowly, like too slowly considering there were ropes. I could have gone faster, I think. It'd be interesting to try this course today. I'm thinking of myself today, but back then I was shorter and probably less strong. I might have been better at ninja though, because I've kind of not been able to train as much. 2017 was like my peak ninja year, because I went to this competition was a big thing for one, and I went to lots of gyms at the time, and I had the garage course, so now I'm less of a ninja, like I have less time to train ninja. But it was, so I think, I'm not sure how I'd do a day, but I think I would do a bit better just because of my age and being taller and stuff. But although my diet could do some work, by the way, but I got these snacks and I figured it was the best time to film this, so whatever. I've never eaten well, so this is fine. But yeah, so the second obstacle was the slackline with ropes. I was slow on that. The third obstacle was these little balls that you run across. Like, they were just like, they were like the cannonballs you hang from, but you just walk over them. I got over those pretty easily. It wouldn't always be that way, but this time I did. Then it was these like kind of thick cylindrical bars that you hung from, and the first few were in place, and then the last two were like swinging back and forth. Well, they could swing back and forth with momentum. They weren't like mechanically swinging. But that was a tough one. I remember I took a second before it, which probably didn't help my time, and it wasn't worth it. But I got through that, and then it was I took a while before this because I was worried I was gonna slip. It was like this angled triangular platform. Then you'd have to hop off onto this round platform in the middle. And then you'd have to jump from the round platform over the wall. I was really worried about jumping from the starting platform to the sloped one. So I took a long time, and then I one-stepped on the slope, and then I kind of landed on the circle in the middle. That was probably the obstacle I was most scared of, just because it seemed like easy to screw up on. But yeah, I did lose some time there. And then what's it called? It was just like a floating board basically with ledges and rock climbing handles on it, and then like a row of 5 cannonballs, I think. These little cannonballs, so they weren't hard to hang from. You kind of had to get around the floating board and then just hang from the swing across the cannonballs through that. And then the last obstacle was a warped wall, fittingly. But the main wall was like really tough. Like, it was very slick, and it was like the bottom part was slanted like usual, but then the top was almost like vertical. It wasn't like as curved or as warped as you'd think it would be. And that made it harder, and it was just so slick. So I gave that a few tries, and that also didn't help my time. I should have just gone for the smaller wall, which at first it was just gonna be that you'd have to make up the main warped wall, but then they realized like that was way too that very few people could do that. Like, even some of the great ninjas struggled on the big wall. So they said, oh, just go up the little ones on the side, which I did. It's honestly like, I feel like there's, you know, maybe a time penalty should have been included, but at the same time, I get that there was like little kids running, and they probably don't want to like penalize a little kid for using the smaller wall. I guess I was a little kid at the time, honestly, but you know, there were some kids there that were very impressive, like a lot better than me. But in my age division, I forget exactly what the range was. I think I was on the older side of it, so I had an advantage. There was like 100 kids that ran, and top 8 made it to finals, as I mentioned. So it was, you know, this run sure wouldn't be what got me to finals, because it was too slow. I forget my time. You can look and see my time. Maybe I'll include a picture even. But yeah. So then I took a break, I guess, and just did some other obstacles after I ran. I don't exactly remember the order of this. Then later on I did another run, but I tried to be a bit faster, and I finished in like just over a minute. I was a lot faster on the sloped triangle platform thing, like the 5th obstacle. And I was a bit faster overall. It was a bit smoother of a run. I remember being kind of annoyed, but you know, it was a little kid, but someone walked in front of me in the warped wall, and that slowed me down a couple of seconds, like, cause I was going up like the smaller wall at this point, cause I knew I couldn't make up the big one, and this little kid walked in front of me, and I was annoyed, and that could have almost cost me the final, but it didn't. But yeah, so I finished in just over a minute, and this was the run that got me in the finals, just barely. So at the time I didn't know that. I figured this was gonna be too slow. I still have my one more run before, like, to try to get faster, so that was the next day though. But yeah, so that day I just ran 2 times, and I remember like early on the 3rd day, which I'm gonna get into, they announced that not everyone will get to run 3 times, because there was a lot of delays on the course, like, especially that 3rd day, every like 2 runs they would take a break and like reset it. I don't know why. So yeah, it was pretty, like, people were disappointed because they thought they'd be able to run 3 times like they were told, and then they had to like adjusts to only running once, or maybe not at all. And some of these people are like people that travel to all these ninja events, so they were like, you know, they take it very seriously, and they did not like that it was that happened. It was, you know, they had a lot of people there, and I'm sure it was hard to like know how it would go. It's the first event. It was unfortunate that that happened, but it was, you know, I think everyone got to try the course at least twice, I believe, so it wasn't like the worst thing ever. It could have been a lot worse. But yeah. So the third day, I had one more run left. I was gonna try to like just go all out and do whatever I could to cut some time off my run. So I remember I did the first couple obstacles even quicker, I think, than the second run. Then I made it to the cylindrical bars, and I tried to skip the first one, which I think probably saved me a second. It probably didn't save that much time because I took a second to like gather myself before jumping out to the second one. So it was kind of just like it was more of like a mental thing of me trying to be faster, but it was riskier. But you know, I'm glad I did it. It probably was my best chance of like getting faster, so I'm glad I did that. But then I got to the next obstacle with the slanted triangle thing I keep mentioning that I found to be very hard. And I told my dad beforehand that I was gonna like skip the triangles and just jump straight from the starting platform to the round platform. Cause that was one way I feel like I could have shaved off like 5 seconds. And my dad said I shouldn't do it, but I was like, I think this is just the best way for me to it's a risk, but if I get through it, it'll be a lot better. Unfortunately, I just missed the jump to the round platform, and he was right, so that sucked. But I'm glad I made the attempt again. Like, that was, you know, one of those trade-offs that might be risky, but it was worth doing at the time to try to make it. I was the first one to do that, and then it would only be copied later on by Drew in, like, the second to last race, I think. So, you know, I was pretty, I mean, at the time, I was kind of proud that Drew, like, copied my, well, he didn't copy me, he probably didn't know that happened, but that he used the same form. Now I'm worried to try and tell me something, but you know, yeah, so that is how that went. And after his third run, I had a class with Jeff Britton, which is actually the most popular thing on this channel. I posted like a short video of my class with him. It was a really good class. He took us through all the different obstacles on the side. And he showed me how to beat the cliffhanger. Like, he showed that you have to turn your body, like, on, you know that big drop on the cliffhanger? Well, on this one, he showed that you have to, like reach down with one hand and then let go with the other. He broke it down, and I was able to clear it. So that was my first time. It's in the video of me training with him. And that was literally my first time making it through that, and I was like shocked that I could make it after the many fails before that. So that really was helpful. And then he took us through some other obstacles. I got hit on the head with a ring from the ring toss. And yeah, it was a really cool class, and he was really like between like when he was talking to the whole class and even when he was just talking to me, he was like very encouraging and helpful. So he did a great job with that. He was one of my favorite ninjas at the time, and since he was like a winner, that's one of the reasons I chose him. I also chose Joe Moravsky, but that class never materialized. I think because it was originally 2 classes, but they decided you can only have one just because time constraints. But yeah, I'm glad I got my class with Jeff. It was really cool. And yeah, that was a really cool class. Yeah, so that was my third and final run. I thought at this point it was over. I remember I was on the sidelines with like a drink and pizza and Skittles, and I was like ready to just enjoy the show for the finals, because you know the finals were like the third day, the night of the third day was the finals. So yeah, I was like checked out, and like I did a few obstacles, but aside from that, I was like, this has been fun. But you know, I was disappointed too. Like, I know I was like pretty upset that I didn't make it to finals, but at this point I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy the show. And you know, they did the introduction, and then they did like, I forget the exact order, but there was one heat before like the age group I would have competed in. So I watched that, and I was, you know, eating my Skittles and stuff, and then they got to my age group, and they showed the seat on the screen, and I looked up like, oh, there's no chance ever that my name's on there, because there was an online leaderboard and I was not on it. Like I was like the 8th place time, which is like the slowest time to get in, was like a 59 seconds. So I was like, there's no way that I'm in, because I'm not on there, you know. But then they showed the seeds, and I was seed number 8, like the slowest possible one to make it. I was the slowest one to make it in. But I was on there, and I was just shocked. And you know, I was on the other side of the course. I had to run up to the starting line like with no like warm up or anything. I'm guessing what happened is that someone dropped out of like someone got sick or someone didn't want to compete, so they chose me, and I guess I was in 9th place. So I got in kind of with a lot of luck, but also with a lot of like, I had no idea what was happening, so it made it harder. And I was up against, because I was the 8th seed, I was up against the 1st place person, because you know, that's like the fairest way to pit people in terms of like skill. So that meant I had to deal with a really fast person who was actually Kai Beckstrand, who competed on the last season of American Ninja Warrior, and probably this one, I'm not sure. But so that was tough. I didn't know who he was at the time. You know, I until last year I knew him only from that. But yeah, he got out pretty fast. I think I was ahead of him for a second, which shocked me at the time. I was like, you know, I didn't think there was a chance, because I knew he was a lot faster than me, but I was surprised to be in the lead for a second. Then we got to the 3rd obstacle, which was those little balls that you run across. I think it was called a globe runner. And unfortunately on the last one, I just slipped. I didn't like fall off onto to the ground, but I did like touch the beam with my foot, and then one of like the judges disqualified me, which was a fair move. I mean, I was disappointed, but it was the fairest thing to do, because I touched the support beam. But you know, it's kind of a downer of a way to end. I think I was rushing, and maybe the pressure got to me. I think it was more just that I was rushing though. So unfortunately that was that. So yeah, after my surprise run, I was able to actually like just relax on the sidelines. I think I was even more disappointed after that. It was kind of like a delayed response. Like I wasn't immediately like sad, and you know, I played it off like I was a nice sport to the other person. I was just like sad though, because I feel like I wasted my opportunity. But you know, it happens. And I feel like I've gone a bit better since then about like handling like when I don't do well. But anyway, what else? It was a really good event. I got off track again, but it was a very good event. There was very few like issues or like downsides. It was like, and I'm guessing it'll probably be anything I complained about here, like some of like the things that had to be changed will probably be more evened out since they've done it before now. So I think it should be a really good event. I know they change obstacles from time to time. They definitely did before the 2nd event in November of 2017, so I'm sure they'll change stuff here. But you can get an idea of what it looks like by checking out some of my older clips on here. It's on the competitions, and so go to the playlist, and there's one that says like competitions and something challenge, competitions and events, I think is what it is. But that has all the Wolfpack Ninja stuff on it. But yeah, I feel like the obstacles could have been a bit safer. Like a lot of them could have had some padding, or the salmon ladder could have used like the safety ropes so that the bar doesn't crush you. But all things considered, it was very well done. And I would advise anyone who wants to go to check it out. It's a really cool event. I would love to go on that trip again. I would love to just go back to Denver even. It was a really cool time and very different to what you get in Florida. So without further ado, I will end this video. It was a really cool thing, and I definitely advise you to go to it. Thank you guys for watching.